Hi, I'm Celeste and welcome to Find Your Purple. Today is day 23 of SSSVEDA, a video every day for the month of August. And I thought I would share with you one of the new things I got with my push on adding more vegetables and fruit to my diet, fresh and organic when possible. I started looking at sprouts and they're not very cheap. So I decided to experiment and I bought a easy sprout. Oh, and that mark, that's where it was yesterday. I wanted to make sure it was still growing. These, I don't know if you can see them. These are my sprouts so far after, I think, 3 or 4 days. This is from Sproutamo, is where I bought that. I think it was $12, something like that, on Amazon. And then I bought from Sprout People, I think, I'd have to look, sampler of different sprouts. So I've got the broccoli, which I'll try next, and I think I've got mung. And again, I started with alfalfa because I heard they were easy to grow, so that's what I've done. Then I'll be putting them in smoothie, probably toss them in my juices, and add them to salads, and add them to sandwiches, and then maybe just try them by themselves, but I'll just see what it's like having sprouts, and fresh, and a lot cheaper than buying. But when I was growing them, and it's interesting to grow seeds and you're watering them, and again, this was 3 days, and it's just amazing how much grows. I mean, God has created some crazy, wonderful stuff. But it reminded me of the parable I like best. I think I've talked about it before, but it's the parable of the sower and the seed. And it never really connected with me growing up. I mean, I've always heard it, but I guess I never thought the Bible was relevant. So I never thought all the stories were relevant outside of the Bible. But the sower and the seed, it's really clicking in my life now, whether it's for me or whether it's my daughters. And basically, the sower and the seed is the sower throws out the seed, and it really depends on where it lands, what happens with that seed. And the sower, the seeds are the Word of God in Jesus' parable. And if it falls on the pathway, then the birds come get it immediately. It doesn't have a chance to root. And if it falls on rocky ground, then it can grow, accept the Word. It even says in the Bible, joyfully start growing, but because the roots aren't strong, it dies when the sun comes out, when anything tough happens, and it dies, this shrivels up and dies. And if it's on the thorny ground, it gets choked out by all of the thorns that are around it. So it started to grow, but it just didn't have a chance with all of the thorns. And it's only when it's planted on fertile ground that the Word takes root and grows, and it says can 30, 60, 100-fold. And again, I thought that's as far as it went. But as in everything with the Bible, it has so much relevance in life. And I think using me as an example, I mean, I've heard of vegan, I've heard of plant-based, I've heard of watching your health, watching what you eat, don't eat this, don't eat that. But I was, for years, I was on the path where someone would throw that idea out, and it just didn't even take root. I just didn't pay attention. I blew it off, maybe even poo-pooed the ideas. And then other times I might have tried doing an exercise program or tried a different health food, but it was in the rocky ground. If it was too inconvenient, I would drop it. It wouldn't be a part of my life. And then the thorny ground, you just get too busy to do stuff. Too busy to exercise, too busy to do the juicing, perhaps. Life's distractions, everything out there takes my attention away from it. But yet this time, I think I might be in more fertile ground. So now I'm, again, because of age, because of seeing so many people around me, my contemporaries, being ill or dying, I think I'm finally ready to accept the message of taking care of your body and your diet and your exercise and everything that goes with it this time I'm ready, and I'm absorbing it and making it a part of my life, and then hopefully I will bear the fruit. The same thing with me in the Bible. I've known about the Bible, grew up in the Catholic Church, just didn't connect with it. And I think in that case it was more the distractions of life. Got busy, raised a family, had a career, and I was just too busy to pay attention or devote any time to reading the Bible. And then again, a couple years ago, things changed and I became the fertile soil. And now I'm absorbing things and paying attention. I understand the relevance. I understand and want to know more about the Word. And so again, I'm building the root system for my faith. And you can think of it as teenagers. You want to tell them things. And a lot of times you're throwing those seeds on, a pathway, and it's just not going to take root. You have to keep throwing them, and eventually, things can change. But it's looking at your life, what seeds have people thrown you, or are you the sower? In many cases, you might be the one throwing out the advice and get frustrated that it's not working. And I think if you think of it in terms of the parable, you might not get so frustrated because you can't control how someone receives the message. Whether it's the message of faith, whether it's the message of alternative medicine, of diet, of becoming a plant-based eater, of starting to exercise more, you can't control that. I can't make my kids do what I want them to do. I guess it's the old saying of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And I think that's it. But all we can do is throw the seeds, talk about the faith, talk about the health, be a good example. So in my life, I can see my siblings have been trying to talk to me for years about the Bible and the importance of it. And it just was falling on deaf ears. It was falling on the path and not going anywhere. And then, things changed, and I was ready to hear the Word. And I'm ready to hear or to take responsibility for my body and change my diet and start exercising, that kind of thing. So again, I thought these sprouts were just, again, got them at Sproutamo on Amazon. This is just one. Don't know if I'll get multiple, but I am going to try some of the other sprouts and see which ones I like the taste of. And some of them are spicy. And again, I think I've got a sampler of eight or nine that I'm going to try before I decide which one I want to buy in bulk. But sprouts are extremely healthy, even if you're not on a plant-based diet. If you grow them, they're cheap, and you can toss them on your salad, your sandwich, eat them plain. I'll let you know what I think of them after a while. But that's it for today. As always, grab your cup of tea, sit back, and let's start sharing. Until next time, bye-bye.